The real rivalry, Imad, welcome back. It's been a while, and unfortunately, Manchester United have been on one of the worst runs in our history. I would say you must have been enjoying this, mate.
Yeah, man. I was hoping it wouldn't come to an end. I was hoping Ollie would be at the wheel for years to come. No trophies for United, and but I have to say, man. I mean, like seeing his interview after he left, it was. I mean, I did feel a bit bad for him because, I mean, let's just. I mean, if you want to look back at his entire time at United, I think like for a long time he did make like your fan base start believing again in terms of like you guys like finally started playing a brand of football since Fergie that you guys actually were proud of. Like you guys were lost under Moyes, LVG. Like no one understood the system. The fans didn't
He
enjoy the
was
style
very
of play.
boring under
Jose
him.
was just negative and boring again. So I mean, at least he restored a bit of that. So I guess you have to give him credit for what he did when he kind of took over. I mean, he is a club legend, so it's always
Right.
sad, when like a club legend is. I mean, when it comes to like the fans who once supported him or pushing
100%.
him out of the club, it's sad to see it come to that.
I
But yeah, I mean,
believe
I guess he had to go. Like, I
he had
mean,
to
yeah,
go.
you can talk more about that, but I mean, just going back to when it started. I mean, I guess you have to at least look back with his initial part, like the initial part of his reign, with some fondness, I guess.
100%. I would say like good things that he did. Obviously, he conducted himself really, really well in the press conferences. Always very professional. He loves the club. Unlike Jose Mourinho, you saw some of his press conferences and the way he would behave. Not the way a Manchester United manager should behave.
Yeah, he would throw his
Then
players under the bus. Ollie
all
wouldn't
the
do
time,
that.
right? And just kind of, typical Jose style. But Oli conducted himself really, really well. I think as far as positives are concerned, did put in a good culture in place, right? The players were a lot happier, at least for the first 2 years of his reign. For the first time since Ferguson, we actually finished in the top four for back-to-back seasons. So was the first manager to be able to do that. Now that's not how you want to judge success at Manchester United, but given where we've been, at least in the league, I think he finished third in his first full season, then finished second in his second full season. So that was impressive. And I also think he did build a good squad. Like he did, I think out of all three managers, LVG, forget about Moyes, he wasn't there for long enough, but LVG, Mourinho, and then Oli, I would say under Oli, our signings have been far better. Now when you look at our squad, you can say, yes, the squad is potentially capable of winning something. So I think those were his successes. Like sometimes we did play scintillating football at times, like fast counter-attacking football. That was his style. He really gave our attacking players a lot of freedom to express themselves. There wasn't too much instruction or coaching like there was under LVG, where your systems were very restricted and attacking players had to follow a very specific path of where you're going to pass. They weren't allowed to express themselves. Oli is completely opposite. However, I think that was also part of his downfall this season, right? Like, why did it all start to unravel? Part of the reason is no identity or exact style of play. There was just way when there's this much freedom for your attacking players to kind of do what they want. The moment you hit a bad run of form and the confidence is not there, where no longer is Greenwood cutting in and hitting in those flyers because the confidence is not there because you've hit a bad run of form. No longer is Bruno just through a moment of brilliance creating something for us. The moment like our forward players lost their form a little bit, it all went south. And then the
Yeah, there
other
was nothing. He was too reliant on your big players delivering for him like week in week out. I mean,
right,
like I said, like when we discussed it earlier, United like were just about moments. Like you guys never
100%.
controlled games. You guys never had, I mean, a pressing game in terms of that. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like, I mean, like what you said in terms of Oli, like, you said that his signings were better than the previous managers. I think at the end of the day, his signings have actually what's been like the reason that's cost him his job, because those signings have put so much pressure on him to actually deliver now.
Right,
Because
right.
he finally has those signings. He added those world class players. He added that world class centre back. He got that striker that he had been looking for.
Right,
And I mean, and once you get those signings and you still don't deliver, I think that's what puts the pressure on you even more. So, I
right.
mean, it's interesting as well. I mean, like a lot of articles coming out about how, like Ronaldo, like how his role kind of hindered what like Oli was trying to do with this team long term in terms of that pressing from the front and all. What do you think about that?
I would
that. Like, I mean, obviously, it's like Ronaldo has obviously like saved Ollie's job in terms of like results, but in terms of the way United like they wanted to play in terms of their style of play, do you think that like I mean United would have been better off getting like a Harry Kane or?
No, I think that's a myth personally that like we were never good at pressing. Never once in Ollie's reign were we actually a good pressing team because we never pressed as a team and we just there were certain things Ollie was not able to ever improve. You know how you see a team progress over the years? They under good coaching, your team becomes better at pressing. They become better
Yeah,
at
when you
playing
get
out.
the players you want, then you can start implementing the press that you want. But like that's what Klopp did, right? I mean, he realized
Right.
what he didn't want, and he realized who could do the job that he wanted, and he got them in, and now they're doing the job.
But
It's
even last year,
make
it
he
wasn't
makes
like
made
we
it look simple.
Right, but even last year, it wasn't like we lacked the players to press. So forget, let's just say, let's remove Ronaldo from the equation, right? Last year, you had Cavani, one of the most hardworking strikers there is, presses from the front. You had Cavani, you had Greenwood, you had Rashford. They are hardworking players. I would say Greenwood and Rashford don't track back enough, but I think that's a coaching problem again. But it wasn't like last year we were a phenomenal pressing team. We never have been because what Oli never seemed to realize, and I was complaining about this after the Leicester game as well. He never realized that we need to press as a team. You can't have we always pressed as like a front four or five. We'll have five or six players pressing. That's it though. We
Yeah, then
never
there was a
ever
gap
pressed
in
as
the
a team.
middle.
There's always a gap. Like United off the ball this season, we play a 4-4-2. Okay, off the ball. Bruno and Ronaldo up top. Typically Greenwood and Rashford on the sides, and typically McTominay and Fred in midfield. Now, the way we would press is your front four would go and try to press in a really disjointed way. Typically, Bruno just doing whatever he wants. He would just run and create a huge gap between himself and Ronaldo, so they're not compact anymore. Then either one of McTominay and Fred would follow the press, and you would have Van Bissaka maybe join in. But we always left either McTominay or Fred behind, one of the defensive midfielders, and the left back and the two centre backs were left behind. So any good attacking team can easily play through that press. It's just four, five, six passes. Liverpool
Yeah,
did that time and time
there's
again.
no synchronization in that press. I mean, you're not doing it as a team. Like it's half-hearted. I mean, sometimes you
Right,
have the left back doing it, sometimes you have the right back pressing. I mean,
right,
there's no consistency. I mean, and like also, I mean, that clearly shows that they're not being coached week in week out properly in terms
exactly.
of how to do that press. It's like a knee-jerk thing. I mean, you see that, oh, you see like a game where United play badly and they probably don't press, and then you probably feel like Ollie is like, okay, cool, let me work on it this week, and then it just kind of just gets brushed under the carpet again because it just like
He does we do the same thing and it never changed. After like the Leicester game, what Ollie said, I clearly remember, he was like, do we need more legs in there? That was his reaction to that game, which clearly shows me that because Matic and Pogba started in midfield that day, and he was like, do we need more legs in there? I don't know what it is. Like he could, to me, someone who is just a football fan, no coaching badges, it was obvious to the fans, to a lot of the educated football fans, it was obvious that there's a lack of
yeah
coaching there. We're not pressing as a team. But to him, it wasn't. He couldn't see it that we press, our press is atrocious. So if you're bad at pressing, don't press. Do not press Liverpool.
yeah
Sit back, let them come at you. But, you know, and that kind of, so that was one of the biggest tactical things. So, amongst other things, I would say what we were really poor at, like what was actually when you got the ball, when De Gea has the ball, like a good coach, a good coaching setup has a plan as to how the ball will progress from the goalkeeper to the defense, then to the midfield, and through the thirds of the pitch. And how do you progress the ball up to the other opposition box? We never had that plan. It's just random. There's no consistent pattern to how Manchester United move the ball from our box to the
yeah. I mean,
opposition
sometimes
box.
you're playing out from the back, sometimes you're playing it
You're
long. I
going
guess it just
long,
depends
long
on what the yeah.
diagonals, give it to Bruno, give it to Pogba, someone make a run, just absolutely zero plan. And it was obvious. Like you see us even against Watford and stuff in the first half, you can clearly see when your players are lacking confidence, their confidence is on the floor. It's like the ball was a bomb. They don't know what to do with it. There's no plan. We're not playing in triangles. When Shaw gets the ball as a left back, he doesn't know who to pass it to because no one's coming. There's just no plan at all. And these are the things, that's the second thing that really harmed him. Now, the third thing I would say, which has been very evident this season, is like the players aren't really scared of him. Like our attacking players, the lack of defensive work from Greenwood and Rashford is shocking. Have you seen Salah and Mane? top players. How quickly do they run back and get into shape? How quickly do they run back? And look at City. Like City play with a bunch of attacking players,
Yeah,
but
I mean they're petrified of Klopp. I mean,
City also, right? Same
yeah,
thing.
I
Like,
mean,
they
you need
lose.
someone. I mean, it's you need someone like, I mean, you look at how long Klopp and Pep have been doing it for at the same team. I mean, they're guys who can literally motivate their players every single week for years on end. Like, I mean, literally they can keep doing it, and they can keep getting a tune out of their players. And I guess with Ollie, it was always him doing it in patches, and like every time he was about to get sacked, he always had that one result. That kind of like. I
Same
mean,
thing.
it's so strange because I mean, United, if United just won that game against Watford, Ollie would still be in a job.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
the lines are just so thin. I mean, even in terms of the United board, I mean, what is the actual plan? I mean, it's an absolute shit show because
Yeah.
now you have like, I mean, you literally had, if you had done this 2 weeks ago, I mean, Conte would have been your manager right now. So, I mean, my logic was what was the difference last when the United lost their last game as opposed to when United lost against Watford? I mean, literally, it's like if they had decided then, okay, we're going to give Oli till the end of the season, I'm sure they hadn't said, okay, we're going to give him one more match and like wait for Conte to go to Spurs. I mean, they probably had said we're going to give him to the end of the season, and they saw how bad it was and changed their mind. So that's clearly not being run in the right way. I mean, because you guys really should have dealt with this earlier and had Conte at the helm right now. If you were going to do this anyway, why would you not do it 2 weeks ago?
Now let's come to the real problem, right? Let's come to the real problem. So Ollie was obviously part of the problem. I don't think he was ever good enough. He did a decent job. He did his best, and he'll always be a legend. But he was never good enough to manage a Manchester United side. He never was. He never had the credentials to do it. Now let's come to the real problem. Ed Woodward, the board, and the Glazers. The incompetence up there is absolutely unbelievable, which is why 8 years of shambles since Ferguson left, and it's going to carry on. I have no, like, I don't have any extra hope just because Ollie's gone, because the decision makers upstairs are just so bad and so incompetent when it comes to football, and I'll explain to you why. So last year, right, we lost that Europa League final to Villarreal. 2 seasons, no trophies. He had 1 year left in his contract. There was absolutely no reason to sign him up for an additional 3 years. Yeah, he'd done a decent job, but if I was in charge, I would have waited to see how the season goes. If he started off well in the first 2, 3 months, I would have potentially given him a new contract. So that's the first mistake. The second mistake is we've been abysmal all year, all season. We've been abysmal. We've had one or two good results because of individual brilliance. That's it. Ronaldo saving us in the Champions League single-handedly. World-class saves. Lingard with that goal against West Ham. It's just been individual moments. But if the board, someone with some football knowledge is watching Manchester United, long before Liverpool, you don't need Liverpool to know that we're doing badly. Long before Liverpool, you should have seen that this is not going in the right direction. The team is playing poorly. Just watch the performances, right? And they just never took the hint. We got thrashed by Leicester. Then we got absolutely annihilated by Liverpool. We got lucky in midweek that we got a draw against, I think, sorry, it was a comeback against Atlanta, like at home when we won 3-2. Completely lucky, undeserved. They pummeled us. So you're getting dominated week in, week out by any opposition you play. How do you not see that, dude? This is not working. He needs to go. So after Liverpool, they should have sacked him, right? And they should have gotten Conte. They didn't want Conte because apparently he doesn't fit the corporate structure at Manchester United. They didn't want Conte because he has the balls to fight back against the board. He's going to demand a lot of
Yeah, I
money.
mean, he'll shake it up. I mean, he's gonna go in there and he's
Exactly.
gonna like burn bridges with a few players who
Right. He
steady
needs a lot
like
of puppet.
United. I mean, yeah,
He needs,
exactly. He's gonna expose the board if they don't give him what he wants. I mean, Inter didn't give him what he wanted and he left, and he
left.
said it's on them.
He's an
So I
explosive
mean, yeah,
manager.
he's the United probably don't want that, and they're probably
Yeah.
delighted now that Spurs have snatched him up, so he's not even an option. So
Right.
The United
Exactly.
board
So
don't have to.
they just want, Ollie was perfect, right? He's like a
I
shield.
mean, but on the
They
other
wanted
hand, Conte is a short-term option. You know, he's going to be there 2, 3 years, probably maybe win you a league title, definitely a couple of trophies. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, at United probably the board does want someone like Ollie, who's going to be like a Brendan Rodgers, who could come in and stay for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. You know, that's what they probably want. They don't want to have that model where they're chopping and changing
Yeah,
managers
I
every
agree,
season.
but I think you're dreaming now, man. If you think that can easily happen, it can't. Like, who stays for long? There are very few managers that are
I
capable.
mean, look at Klopp and Pep, man.
That's
They're
it,
like
man. There are
managing at
only
two of the
two. There are only two or
yeah,
three
but they I
managers at
mean,
that
you
level.
give them. I mean, yeah. I mean, all I'm saying is it is possible, man. Like with Arsenal now. I mean, Arteta will probably He's already been in the job 2 years. He's gonna be. It would have been 3 years. I mean, I'm sure we're not going to sack him.
I don't want a manager the level of Arteta or Oli just because he's going to be long term. I'd rather have a Conte for 18 months who potentially could win us a
No,
trophy.
definitely. Yeah,
I think it's high
definitely. Who can
time that
get you?
like Manchester
Yeah, hundred
United
percent.
prioritize trophies over like length of tenure. It's not important anymore, dude. We haven't challenged for the Premier League or the Champions League in 8 years now. Manchester United have not challenged.
Yeah, I mean, to us
In
fans,
the
it's not
group.
important, but to the board, to the
Right.
board, it's always going to be at the forefront of their thinking. They're always going to be prioritizing the long-term vision of the club, and because for them, they're in it for the long term. You know, they don't want to be there where they have to be in a position where they want to change their manager every few years, and they're paying out these
Crazy
crazy
fees. I
wage.
mean,
I mean, yeah, crazy like. So I mean, it's just not. I mean, it's just not like something United want to do, and it's not the model
right.
Arsenal or
So
United
fair
want to
enough, you
follow. But
didn't
I
get
mean, right
Conte,
now,
but you should have gone and got. You should pay the money. And like there are rumors today that Poch is available, right? If he's available today, he was available 2 weeks ago. The problem is, right, we didn't have the balls to make that change, And what shocks me is like the fact that they didn't realize that this was coming. Like this was a shock to the board, by the way, that the results have
well,
become this bad. The performance
yeah,
of the
they were hoping that things would just turn and they wouldn't have to do this.
Exactly. And like the writing's been on the wall all season. It doesn't surprise me. Like it does not surprise me. We've been playing so badly all year. Even the end of last season wasn't good. We've not been playing well for a while.
Yeah,
And it's damning what De Gea said. De Gea said it also like at Watford. He's like, we've been very bad for a long time. Shaw said it after Liverpool, like something's really wrong. We've been bad for a long time. This has been coming. Like the players know it, that the coaching's not good enough. We've been bad for a while. We don't play well. We don't dominate games. Every game is an edge of the seat thriller almost to see, who ends up finishing their chances. Like that's really how it goes. And another thing is
yeah.
like that's why the board is so incompetent. I don't trust them to pick the right man for us next. I don't trust them to do it.
I
Like
mean, let's see, man. If you get Poch, you wouldn't be saying that if you get Poch. So
I hope we can get Poch. Like I think he would. Honestly, I want Ten Hag. That would be my number one choice from Ajax. But I don't think he would leave Ajax mid-season. There are rumors that Poch is interested in the United job. He's not.
yeah, I mean, I feel like you'd probably have an interim till the end of the season, which would probably be the best thing for us
For
fans,
opposition fans,
for
yeah, I
rival
think that would be
fans.
the
Yeah,
worst thing for us. We need a manager to come in now and take the reins.
yeah. You need a manager to come in ASAP because I feel like I mean your whole season's just gonna fall apart. I mean, you're still in the Champions League, you're still in other tournament and other competitions.
I think that could
You
change
don't
in
want
two
to.
weeks though, because you know what's going to happen if we lose to Villarreal. We're like at the edge of probably not finishing in the Champions League. It's possible we wouldn't, and then Chelsea
Well,
will
that
beat
depends
us.
if Atlanta win their game as well. So
Yeah, which I would expect them to. So I think we could still go out of the Champions League easily in the next 2 weeks. Chelsea will beat us. Arsenal will beat Newcastle. Then you're, I think, 6 points ahead of us, and then you're gonna play us. And I think you guys, if the current coaching setup stays, then you guys will beat us for sure. Then you're 9 points ahead of us. Arsenal dropping 9 points in the next 6 months to next 8 months. I don't know. I don't think even a new manager coming.
100%. What do you? Of course we are, but I don't know if you guys are gonna
But
make it
we
up
have
on
to win
us.
all those points too, right? So I think we could be
Yeah,
in trouble in 2 weeks. That's why I think the change, I think we need to get a coach in now, like as soon as possible. And
yeah.
Carrick, McKenna, Phelan, I don't know how they've survived. Carrick and McKenna were under Jose. Jose got sacked. All he repeatedly says, I don't do the coaching. He repeatedly says that it's a coaching setup. It's Carrick, McKenna, and Phelan that do the coaching. They run the training sessions. Ollie was the manager. So why have you only sacked the manager, and what about this coaching team that has zero experience, literally
So yeah, it
no.
depends. I mean, it depends if the new manager wants to bring in his entire coaching staff and replace these guys. So
If
it's going to
we
depend on that because Conte would have probably wanted to do that. So
I think if we get a manager in who relies on this coaching staff, it's going to go the same way because this coaching staff
yeah.
currently is not good enough. So
So in a
let's
nutshell,
see.
the right decision.
Yeah, 100%, man. He had to go. I think he should have gone a month ago. I think the board hung him out to dry. It was obvious he should have left after Liverpool, if not even sooner than that. And it was sad to see how it ended, but I blame the board. I don't blame Ollie. He can't sack himself.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been so much smarter to just do it before the international break. Get your manager 2 weeks with your team. I mean,
Exactly.
it just seems like so knee jerk everything right now with United. So
We're a
may
shambles,
it
man.
long
We're a
continue.
shambles. Yeah, we're an absolute shambles. Like it hurts me to say we're probably one of the worst run football clubs in the Premier League at the moment. So, well, anyways, so we'll talk again this weekend. Let's see what happens. Big games.
Yeah, hopefully we extend the lead to 6 points over United this
I think
weekend.
there's
So
no matter who we bring in, we're not beating Chelsea, no matter who we bring in. So I think that's gonna happen anywhere. All right, man. We'll talk to you this weekend.
all right, sounds good.